Welcome back, traders. This is my trade review for February 5th, 2024. If you'd like to see these kind of trade reviews, you can help me out by giving me a like. Also hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next one is uploaded. Now, I'm looking at the Nasdaq micros today, and you can see that price has dropped down into a fair value gap and then started rallying. We see a fair value gap here that was supported once and twice. Then it rallied back up for that market structure shift, creating another fair value gap. This definitely was a potential entry, but I did not execute on this one. Typically, I like to go in somewhere between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock, so this was around 11:40 when this happened. Also, I saw that price rallied up into a fair value gap here, so was nervous that it could have been a continuation move lower. So due to those factors, I did not execute this. And then when price rallied up, right here was a 5-minute fair value gap. Currently, we're looking at the 2-minute chart. But this could have been an entry right here up into that fair value gap on the 5-minute for an exit. So price rallied up, and because I missed the move in the morning, I waited till the afternoon thinking that I could get some kind of a long in the PM session. So right now is 1:10, still a little early, but I think with the combined miss in the morning, I think I was just a little FOMO. So I was eager to get into a trade, looking for the highs get taken here. And we'll go into a 5-minute chart later, and you'll see the relative highs that I'm talking about. But I see price coming down into that 5-minute fair value gap, and it looks like it is being supported. So here I put in a buy order for a tiny sliver here. I want my entry here, and I want the stop below this low. I'm going to speed things up to 2 times speed. So the problem with this day in the PM session was there was not much news. So part of me was thinking that they could leave the highs intact for Tuesday, and we could just consolidate in this range for the rest of the day and not do too much. So definitely thinking today was not a high probability trade. Now when price dropped down into that fair value gap, I had an inkling to get in, but I did not pull the trigger. I wanted to see confirmation and then have a retest into this fair value gap here. But it did not give it to me. I'm doing projection from the swing low to the swing high. And the 1 standard deviation was here, which is well above the relative highs. Here I mark out those relative highs. This is where I'm thinking buy side is. So you can see I put those orders in, but they're not going to get hit. And I'm thinking if this high gets taken out, I'm just going to go ahead and cancel my orders. Speeding things along. Okay, so I went ahead and canceled those orders because the high did get taken out. Now I'm going down to different time frames and marking out the fair value gap here. Here I'm on the 5-minute. We see a fair value gap here. Now I'm thinking to get in on this one. These are the relative highs I was talking about that I'm looking for price to drive through. So I'm thinking if I get in here, I'll have my stop below the swing low. Problem is, the amount of risk was kind of wide. I wanted to take 2 contracts, but I didn't want to have this much risk. I'm only going to be risking around $50. So here I'm measuring out the CE of the wick, thinking that this failure gap was already used. Perhaps I can put my Stop loss somewhere close to below half its wick. So here I'm setting a sell stop and my buy order here at 702. So it should be the top of this fair value gap. And here I'm marking out where I have my stop. Now I don't really like this stop here. I placed it above the half of this wick, and it's also above the inversion fair value gap because price can come back down to reuse this. So ideally, I think the stop should have been below the swing low here, but I did this because I wanted to take two contracts and I got to reduce my risk to be around $50. Also, another problem was that the price has already taken the buy side above this swing high. So could have been more patient. Perhaps price will come back down. I want to see maybe support from either the center of this wick or actually see confirmation of this fair value gap being used as support. Also, time-wise, still a little early. It's not even 1:30 yet, so could have been a little bit more patient on this entry. I think I was just FOMO because I missed the earlier entry here, and then I also missed this rally over here. So going through this fair value gap, that is not looking good. But I'm waiting for this candle to close. Perhaps the body will close around halfway up that. Gonna give this another 2 minutes for this candle to finish. So there, my stop gets taken before this candle could close. But I'm thinking to give this some time and maybe try again one more time in the afternoon. Now I'm thinking if this candle closes and we have this fair value gap develop, I would like to see price come up and use this as an inversion. So we'll watch price chop around a little bit, but I'm actually going to skip ahead to where I actually go into my second attempt. So we're still on the 5-minute chart. We see this fair value gap here, and because the price is kind of using it as resistance, I'm waiting for price to go up above it and then use it as support as an inversion before I get into my entry. So here you can see I placed an order. I'm working on the lower time frame, and with this rally, it kind of looked like there was some displacement, so I went ahead and put in an order. And I have my stop, looks like at 78, which should be below the swing low right here. Looking at the lower time frame, you can see that we have a low here and a higher low, and we have the lower low in the middle, so we classify this as an intermediate low. So my idea was I don't want to see this get broken. But it doesn't really look good when price can't get above this fair value gap. And there I went ahead and just canceled my order because I did not like how this fair value gap was acting as resistance. I want to see price go above it and then use it as an inversion. So I figure I'll just give this some more time, perhaps wait for the 2 o'clock. Thinking that price could come down into some of these other imbalances below before we head higher. So I just want to be patient and try to wait for a market structure shift, wait for my actual pattern. We'll be watching price action for a little bit longer. I'm just going to skip ahead. We do see price coming back down, and it does come down to below the swing low here. But now I'm seeing some sort of rallying after taking the sell side below the swing low. And we see price starting to rally up into that fair value gap once again. And I went ahead and put in a market order. So we'll go down to a minute chart in a little bit. On the market order, and I'm going to have my stop below this swing low here. It's going to be at 17,677. Okay, so here we are on a 1 minute chart. I got my stop below the swing low here. So we saw that price dip down, taking out the sell side below both of these swing lows. And then we have a rally above these swing highs here. Now, when price went above the fair value gap, I was thinking, okay, this is the time. It's for they're gonna use this fair value gap as inversion. So I went ahead and just marked it in. Looks like I have my order at 693 and a quarter, which was within this fair value gap right here. Now with this drop down, I'm thinking, okay, I I could get stopped out again, and today would just be a low probability trade, and thinking that perhaps we'll just chop around and consolidate within here and leave these relative highs for Tuesday. And we do have relative highs above here, but we can see that we also created another relative high here. So this will be my initial target, and I'm looking for price to still get up there and take out the relative highs up here. So looking back on it, Tuesday PM session was probably not the right time to trade. There's a lot of consolidation, some back and forth movement. It's just really difficult. Definitely want to wait until there's a news injection, a news event to inject volatility into the market to give us that movement to go up above these highs. Okay, so seeing this, I'm pretty hopeful. I want to see price go up and stay above this fair value gap now. And I'm just doing some projections just to see if my targets are aligned. Also, because of the earlier loss, I'm only taking one contract. I don't want to be taking another $50 loss. So I do see we created this fair value gap on the 5-minute fair value gap I'm using as inversion. I do see that price could come down into this again, and if I want to see that get supported, here we see it dipping down into it. So far so good. This looks like a good sign. At this moment, I'm thinking to move my stop up. I see a fair value gap here and a fair value gap here. I decided to move it up to 691, which is right below this fair value gap. I think this is a little bit too aggressive. I think I should have kept it below this swing low right here, or even just leave it alone. I think because I took that earlier loss, I was a little bit nervous and I wanted to bank as much as possible. I'm not at break even just yet, but I don't want to see this fair value gap get broken down. And you can see that with my confidence, I'm actually moving my TP up to the higher time frame fair value gap because I'm thinking price will take the relative highs here and the relative highs higher. So price coming down half of this fair value gap, I want to see price bounce off of it. But it doesn't. And it comes down and looks like I'm getting stopped out. So if I left my stop below here or even below here, you can see that the trade would have worked. I'll stop right here, but let's go to a screenshot. We can see that I had my original stop here, and if I kept my stop below this swing low, price only came down to the order block and then later on rallied before 3 o'clock, taking the relative highs here and then eventually going up to take highs over here as well. So it could have worked. I just was too eager to move my stop up. And I think it was because I took that earlier loss. That setup was just FOMO because I missed the uh, because I had missed the move from earlier that day. So definitely not the best trading ever. And here's a spreadsheet that I've recorded the trades here. You can see I took 2 trades, both losses. The first one was about $50. The second one smaller because I moved that stop up, but I put my notes right here to be slow to take that to move my stop loss because I moved it up too quickly and got stopped out before I let the trade play out. So definitely want to keep that in mind and just accept my initial risk. So thank you for watching, and if you haven't hit that like button, Subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you'll see when I make the next trade. Until next time, good luck.